Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at a camera from the 1960s, I guess 1959, 1960, and it comes in this rather nice case. It's quite small, quite compact. It's got a strap so you can put it over your shoulder, or I guess in an overcoat you could put it in a coat pocket even. This is the Kodak 66 Mark III. Rather ingenious case, this one. It pulls up and folds over the back like so. We'll take it out of the case. It's a very nice condition, this one. Just unscrew the nut at the bottom. The camera comes out of the case like so. Very nice. Put that out of the way. So there's the camera. You're thinking, well, where's the lens? What's going on here? See, Kodak 66 Mark III. A couple of buttons on the top, red one, silver one. If you push the silver one, it is a folder. This lens section folds out and locks. Quite a good looking camera, I think. This was the last folder that Kodak made. This is actually made in the UK in London, and it was the last folding camera model that Kodak made in the UK. So this is 1959, 1960. They look very old-fashioned, but obviously folders have got the big advantage of they fold away. The weakness, of course, is the bellows, whether they actually let light in through the cracks with aging, etc. Right, let's have a look at the controls. Let's zoom you in a bit so you can actually see what's going on. Sort out the focus so you can actually look at the front of the lens and see the markings on there. Leaf shutter built into the lens at the front, so all the controls are on the front here. There's a couple of rings that we can turn on there. Focusing is by this scale on the front. Try and get the focus, that's a bit better, isn't it? So you can see it's a 75mm lens, f4.5, mount 320 if you want to put filters and probably a hood on there would be a good idea. You can see there's a reference point at the top. So it's one of those ones where you've got to guess the distance, so it's 3.5 feet, the scale is in feet, and that goes all the way through to infinity, and it's round to that side. You also seem to have a depth of field scale on the back, so I'll put infinity at f8, everything from 15 feet to infinity will be in focus. And then you've got this other dial at the top here, which is your shutter speed. So you've got a B setting, it's the old-fashioned timing, so you've got 10, 25, 50, 100, and it tops out at 200. That's the fastest shutter speed that you can get. And then you cock the shutter by putting the lever down. And remember the red button on the top, up here, so when you click on that, you've got to advance the film. It's got this little thing that disappears when you advance the film, and then once you advance the film, that's the sound of the shutter. It's very, very discreet, very, very quiet. Let me shut up and then you can hear it properly. Oh. I had to cock it as well, didn't I? Idiot. Very, very quiet, very discreet camera. So those are the controls on the front. We also have a flash connection on the top here. No hot shoe or cold shoe, just a connection for a flash there. And you also have an aperture selection ring, so f4.5, 5.6, all the way through to f22. Maybe a little bit more. f32 would be the normal one after f22. So you set the aperture, That's where you set the shutter speed, and that's where you do the focusing. Very nice. Right, on the top, let's do it the right way around. Film Advance. You can see there's this little tab here that pops out. It won't let you fire the shutter until you've advanced the film. You can see that little thing disappears. And once you've advanced the film and remember to cock the shutter, it'll let you take the next picture, but then it won't let you do double exposures. Quite a good feature. It does have a cold shoe, I lied. There's a cold shoe on the top. That one, as we've seen before, is to release the front. And then on this side, you've really just got a reminder. So you can turn this and it will line up with the red dot to show what's in there. And because it's a Kodak camera, it's all Kodak films, Tri-X, Verichrome, Kodacolor, Ektachrome, Pan-X. It's all the Kodak favourites. That should turn to line up with the way we were shooting. I'm going to load it with HP5, so I'll set it for Tri-X. To fold the camera away, you'll notice there's these little arms on the side. Look at it, beautifully detailed. So you just push down and that will fold away and lock firmly into place, and then it should spring all the way out, but this one needs a bit of working. It hasn't been used for a long time. I'm actually going to load this with a fresh film, and I intend to take this one out and use it, being not in go out now, so I want to try this one out. The lenses are supposed to be pretty good on these. Pretty good detail. I don't know what make of lens it is. It's a Kodak's own lens, I think. If I can get this in focus, you might be able to see 70mm Kodak Anaston lens. Looks fairly clean, so it'll be interesting to see what the results are like. From what I've seen on online, the results from these have been quite good. So focus out again. Nicely finished, pretty well built actually. And on the back, this is how you know what frame number you're on. There's just a little window that looks at the backing paper. This takes 120 film, it's medium format camera. To open the back, a little catch at the bottom there. That opens up the back. You can see it says on there, load with Kodak 120 film. Well, you can use any kind of film, but obviously they want you to use Kodak. Caution, this camera body does not take 620 film. You can't get 620 film anymore, but you can wind 120 film onto a 620 spool. The 620 spools are thinner. It's a bit of a palaver, but yeah, it is possible to still use cameras that take 620 by reloading 120. Rather strange little bit of foam material at the bottom here. And on this side, this is where the last roll would have been. And to load a film into it, you have to remove this, so you pull that part up, and this sort of central spiral part will come out. You can see this looks like the original one. This is a metal one, the newer ones are plastic, but this looks like an original metal spool. I'll say the 620s are thinner than the 120 spools. So this is a modern day 120. This is my test film. This has a plastic spool in it. So let me dig out a fresh film and we'll put that in there. I'd like to test to see whether the bellows are actually light tight. So if I push this open, leave the shutter closed, and get my torch wherever that's hidden away to. All I've done with the torch. Very true. So I'll put a bright light at the back, and then very closely look to see if I can see any light leaks. And I don't think that I can see any light leaks. I wouldn't expect it to leak. And looking at the back of the lens, it looks pretty clean in there. So I don't see any issues in putting a film through it. And seeing the other way you can do it is put it up to your eye and see if you can see any daylight through it. And I can't, so I'm fairly happy that the velos are still light tight. If you've got a light leak, yeah, you need to fix that first before putting your film through it. Right. Fresh film. Today we're going to be loading it with some HP5 Plus. Sort of standard go-to black and white film. It's a bit of a premium film, but I don't have any 120 foamer pan left. I've used all that. The film comes in this nice little foil wrapper. You just rip this open if you can. And then you have to head for some scissors. No light meter, no batteries. You can use the Sunny 16 rule, or you can use the separate exposure meter, or an app on your phone. It doesn't have to be an iPhone, of course, it can be an Android. So there is the fresh film out of the wrapper. Don't need that anymore. Look at the state of this. Okay, so the fresh film is going to go on this side. It's going to get drawn across over to this side onto the old spool. It just gets moved over to this side. So that should, he says, lift up and allow us to get the new spool in. Oh, that's a bit stiff. I don't think this camera's seen a lot of action recently. And then by turning that, that should engage. Into there, so when you turn that lever, that spool turns. And there's a slot in the middle on it. 120 film. Pretty familiar to most of us now. Just peel this bit of paper back off. Don't really need that. This is the start of the film. Keep it tight in your fingers. You don't want to get him loose. So it goes in with the black side facing, so it says unexposed. So that will slot in to this side. So by pulling that up, that will slot into there. You don't have to rewind 120, that's a good thing about it, unlike 35mm, which has to be wound back into its cassette. 120 film only goes one way. Goes from one side of the camera to the other. So you feed that into the slot in the middle of the spool. And then by winding this, he says, easier said than done. This is not really connecting too well to that. So you put that paper through into there, like so, and then we gently wind. So it should grab it and start pulling it across. But this isn't, it's just pulling out all the time. That's irritating. Bit fiddly to load. It's really not going on there very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat and I'm going to take this out. I'm going to start it by hand if I can get this bit out. So you can see that's going to go through the slots in the spool, and then it's going to start to wind around that part like so. It's going to gradually move. You can see I'm good at this. On that side it's quite tight, it's not sitting properly, that's a problem. So it's pulling itself out all the time. And then that will sit in there. It's probably a lot of you pulling your hair out now thinking, what an idiot this man is. You're not wrong. And that should drop down into there. Like so, and then that should start to pull it across. Like a lot of cameras, there isn't a spot that you've got to pull the start to. On more modern cameras, you normally line this up with a certain marking inside, and that's kind of your start area, but they've got the sort of the normal advance lever. But now I can close the back up. Make sure it's secure. And then this is where the little window comes in quite handy, because you just got to wind. You'll see the paper moving through until you get to number 1, and that would be your first exposure. It's quite a tricky thing to wind, that. So I've got some dots. Another arrow. Keep on winding. What it's doing is pulling the film across. There's number 1 there. So that would be our first exposure. So there you go, folks. Very simple camera to use. I'm probably going to stick to, because it's a 400 speed film, I'm going to stick on a 200th of a second. That'll give it about a stopover, and just use the Sunny 16 rule to work out the exposures. It has got a slot there for a cable release or a little self-timer, one of these little clockwork self-timers that can go in there. But yeah, I think that's quite an attractive camera actually. Zoom out, sort of focus out a bit better. I think that's a really nice little camera, and it's compact but it's still medium format, which is really nice. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Comments, questions and descriptions of my abilities to load film, much appreciated. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that usual YouTube sort of rubbish, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I may well do a development video on this one, so I might get out and take some pictures, and then I might do a video showing how I develop 120 black and white film. It's very, very easy. Thanks for watching again. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.